NXT starts off with Jada Parker versus Jordan Grace. This was basically a number one contendership match for the NXT Women's Championship without it actually being a number one contendership match, because this match was determining whether or not who was Stephanie Valkyrie going to choose as her stand and deliver opponent for her NXT Women's Championship. Towards the end of the match, you end up getting Stephanie Valkyrie ended up pushing Jada Parker. Then you get Jada Parker ends up slapping Stephanie Valkyrie. Stephanie Valkyrie ends up accidentally attacking Jordan Grace when she was trying to attack Jada Parker, which led to a disqualification. Then you get all three women start brawling. Then you get Giulia. She makes her return. She comes out, ends up attacking not Stephanie. She ends up attacking Jordan Grace and Jada Parker, making it look like she was coming for the save. But then she attacks Stephanie Valkyrie. So I'm assuming this is leading into a heel turn, which that's the only logical thing because it doesn't make sense for anything else for it to be. So this has to be a heel turn, which I'm actually happy because one of the main concerns and one of the main issues I had was Jordan Grace, Stephanie, and Giulia all being baby faces, because all of them being baby faces limits the story you can really tell with them, because they're all supposed to be good people when there's you need a heel, and Giulia being the heel works the best anyway because she needs to be a heel, because man, her as a baby face, it's no, like it's way too boring and way too one-dimensional. So hopefully this heel run can work. Afterwards, Stephanie ended up getting a segment with Ava, and she basically ends up choosing all of them to be her stand and deliver opponent. So it's gonna be interesting. It's very weird. A match of this hype or this much talent I should be excited about, but I'm really not. I just feel like this is a match that they just put together just to have all women on the stand and deliver card. That's the vibe I'm getting, because this stand and deliver is less than 2 weeks away, and we're just now getting this. I just feel like this is just a match that they just thrown together just to put all the women on the card. Because I'm just gonna be honest, this is just kind of like last minute. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this. The match will probably be good, but it just feels very I will say it is very unpredictable, because I could see Stephanie winning, I could see Julie winning, I could possibly see Jordan Grace. Jada Parker, she's not winning, unfortunately, but there's no way she's winning. But we'll see how this plays out, though. The match should be good, but I just kind of feel like this was thrown together last minute. A lot of the matches on the card on Stand and Deliver is kind of thrown together last minute, if I'm being honest. After this, winning being Soul Ruka versus Jasmine Nix, qualifying match for the women's North American Championship ladder match at Stand and Deliver. Soul Ruka picks up the victory. Not really need to go over it. Soul Ruka picks up the victory. She's in the women's ladder match. She's one of the better options for that women's North American Championship. So we'll see how that plays out at Stand and Deliver. After this, we end up getting Ricky Saints. He ends up cutting a promo, but he ends up getting interrupted by Lexis King. Then he gets interrupted again. Well, Lexis King gets interrupted by Eddie Thorpe. Then you get Wesley. He comes out. They're all arguing, trying to make a case for the North American Championship, even though none of them have a case for the North American. It actually makes no sense for either of them to fight for. The only person who makes somewhat logical sense is maybe Eddie Thorpe, because he was just fighting for the NXT Championship, but none of them have a case for the NXT Championship. Wesley has been irrelevant for the longest time. Lexis King, I don't understand what he's doing since he has the heritage. I just don't understand it. But then you end up getting Ethan Page. He ends up attacking Ricky Saints. They all start brawling, and that's how it ends. This is very stupid. They're going to be a fatal four-way match. I don't understand why, to see who's the number one contender. That's going to be 1 week away from Stand and Deliver, and we're having a number one contendership match to see who faced Ricky Saints. Just go with Ethan Page. I don't understand what was the Ethan Page better win next week, because that should be the match. Ethan Page attacked Ricky Saints last week. It's the most interesting of the. I'm sorry, making it a multi-man match would just be pointless. Just have it should be Ricky Saints versus Ethan Page. That should be the story. That should be the feud. Adding these extra people is just wasting television time. It's wasting time. It makes no sense. It's very random all of a sudden, because none of them had interest of the North American Championship until tonight. It would be different if like they had a bunch of matches going after the North, but no, they haven't cared about the North American Championship until tonight. So I'm not understanding why now all of a sudden we're doing this. I think it's very pointless. I think it's I just think they just did this again just to, waste time and just just to have something filler because they clearly don't know what to do here. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see how this plays out. But this was just too much in my opinion. I just don't understand why we just couldn't do Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints. I'm hoping that is still the plan, so we'll see how it plays out. After this, we end up getting another qualifying match for the women, for the Women's North American Championship ladder match. Izzy Dane versus Ren Sinclair. Izzy Dane picks up the victory. Now, this is gonna make me look a little bad because I'm actually gonna come for it because I'm actually gonna hype up Izzy Dane, but there was a botch at the end when Izzy picked up the victory. She ended up accidentally letting go of her opponent before the ref counted three, so it was really a two count, but they ended up counting it as a victory for Izzy anyway. Now I do agree with Izzy Dane winning. She ended up her and her faction, the Culling, ended up having a segment. They was trying to cheer up Sean Spears, talked about how he should go after the North American Championship again, but he ends up saying that the focus isn't on him anymore. It's about, his family now, and that they need to focus on getting championship gold. Brooks Jensen and Nico ended up having a tag match, which I'm not going to go over because it's a pointless tag match, but they end up picking up the victory. And then Izzy Dane picked up the victory to qualify for the North American Championship. So I like what they're doing here. I like Izzy Dane. I think she's one of the more underrated women on NXT. Now, this botch doesn't really help her case because this was a bad botch. But overall, from a character standpoint, she's still a bit green, I will say that, but from a character standpoint, I think she has the it factor. I think she has charisma. I think she could play a very dominant heel if booked correctly, because that is one thing NXT is kind of missing, is like that dominant woman heel. Now, that was somewhat Jada Parker, but Jada Parker is kind of like a tweener now right now, so they do need like a heel woman that's like very dominant. Now, they may be Giulia, but they do need like a heel woman that just stands out. I feel like that could be Izzy Day, especially in the mid card, but we'll see how that plays out. But I like that Izzy Day ended up qualifying because I think she deserves to be in that picture. Ren Sinclair also deserves to be in that picture as well, because it's actually shocking that Ren Sinclair doesn't get more TV time. She's one of the more over women on your division, and she constantly is in catering. It actually makes no sense in my opinion, especially over some of the other people who get TV time, like Hank and Tank. But no offense to them, but I just don't understand it. But Izzy Dane qualifies. She's in the ladder match, and I'm happy that she's in the ladder match. Then we get the main event. We end up getting Javon Evans, Trick Williams, and Oba Femi versus Dark State. This was a solid match. Towards the end of the match, you end up getting Oba Femi for whatever reason. I don't understand why. Just tossing one of the Dark State members onto Trick Williams for whatever reason. I don't understand it. That causes, of course, altercation between Trick and Oba. They end up brawling, leaving Javon Evans all by himself, which allows Dark State to pick up the victory, which as they should, because this is their first match as a tag. This is their first match in general, so they had to pick up the victory. Now, I thought the altercation was going to lead to something different. I thought that it was going to be accidentally one of them attacking each other. Oba just purposely did it, which I don't understand why, but then we end up getting the family. Channing Stacks ended up requesting, he ends up calling them out, basically saying that next week they're going to have a match in the parking lot, which should be interesting. So this show overall was very mid, some very questionable decisions, some head scratching decisions. There was some other stuff on the card too. There was some tag matches which didn't really matter, so that's why I'm not going over. But next week's show should be a lot better because we're getting the last two qualifying matches for the Women's North American Championship, and we're getting a tag team gauntlet match to determine who's the number one contender to face Fraxium at Stand and Deliver, which I think is very obvious that Hank and Tank is probably going to win that match because it's either Hank and Tank or the Calling. But they keep doing this story with Hank and Tank trying to figure themselves out as a tag team, and they've been really pushing them. So I really think it's very obvious that they're winning, but we'll see how this plays out. But overall, this show, in my opinion, was very mid. But you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.